Hey, welcome to the
Doceree Dialogues.
a platform that unites industry leaders come together and exchange ideas, innovation, and insights.
Shaping the future of healthcare marketing. Badal, thank you for joining me. Always a pleasure. Yeah, nice to see you. For the listeners, before we get going, just tell us who you are, what are you doing, what are you up to at the moment. Absolutely. So again, Badal Shah. I'm the president and founder of Neolytica, part of QPharma Group. It started with building a traditional cable mapping platform, and then understood that a lot of there are a lot of companies who already are creating cable mapping platforms. So we kind of took a path where we wanted to find out things which are very unique. So right from understanding the sentiment analysis, patient journeys, identifying patients for clinical trial recruitment, to now the latest one is converting generic communication into personalized communication. So give us a little flavor of what the data is that you have and how you put it together. What can a brand manager or a marketer find when they come working with you? Absolutely. So what we saw is that because of so many platforms that are available, we were just doing some analysis that on an average, a human being is downloading around 74 gigabytes of data on a single day. Wow. That's like listening to Baby Shark for 20,000 times. Wow. A single day. So imagine with that kind of data that you're getting, imagine MSLs, TLLs, reps coming to HCPs and are just talking about what they want to talk about without understanding what the HCPs is looking for. And HCPs are giving science. So they are doing lot many conferences, they're doing podcasts, they're doing webcasts, they're going to Medscape, MedPage, OncLive, OncDaily. You have 100,000 digital platforms where they're communicating what their concerns are, what they like, what they don't like. What we are doing is just monitoring that. We're monitoring all of these different platforms, not just Twitter and YouTube, which most of the companies are limited
Most of the social network guys are, yes, because those are the public ones, right?
and they are available with the API. Yeah. You can easily get that data. But we have taken the harder part of it, of going through all of these different platforms where you don't have API. Sometimes you have to scrape it, sometimes you have to manually take it because of the compliance. But analyzing that, and then we had 350 medical experts who have been reviewing this data and giving the reasons of why somebody is positive, negative, or neutral on the client-specific messages. We use that data to train our GenAI models. So right now, our GenAI is able to do 80% of that analytics with 95% confidence level.
So what is the data? So let's say you, Dr. Patel.
Yes.
What do you know about me on your platform?
So right from where you did your medical school, fellowships, to what associations you are affiliated to, what kind of payments you are receiving, to your publications, to your trials, to your conferences, to every single social media place is where not just where that you have accounts for, but even if you're mentioned or you're tagged, and I know you are tagged a lot of the places, so you are the right examples in that case where you might not be doing a lot of social media, but you're tagged all around. So that's where it becomes very, very important that how a KOL is making us so much of influence also because his work is being cited and mentioned. And these citations are not the publication citations, but the social media citations that they are getting, which I have much more, I would say, value in these days.
So now I have that. You come to me as a marketer or a med affairs person or whatever. Is the use then for me to understand and further segment my customers? Is that really the usage here, the use case?
So one of the gaps that we saw, Ritesh, was you create the segments first, depending on whatever data you have utilized to do that. It was not changing. So you keep on sending the same message of an HCP which you put in one segment. You're not monitoring the continuum of education that an HCP goes through.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do here. That of course we segment them based on where they are right now and aligning with your message, but we keep on updating it every month. So now we say, you know what, Dr. Patel, who was in segment 2, has now moved to segment 5. So don't bother them with sending segment 2 conversation. They've already moved to segment 5, so send that particular message. That works well for them.
And who are the clients? Who are the primary clients?
So it starts with medical affairs, okay, and goes to marketing.
Gotcha.
I will not say the reps. Reps have been utilized where we are able to update their target list, because what we saw, and again, this is getting into the other side of the business where Sermo did the survey where they said 62% of the HCPs are changing their prescribing behavior just based on the sentiment of the product that goes around in the social media alone. Our conference is nothing across the board. So now imagine your early adopter analysis. You're targeting literally changes when Dr. Patel starts talking positive. If I track where your messages are going to which HCPs and make them my early adopters or reprioritize them in the targeting list, it makes a huge difference in terms of early adoption, ROI, all of it. So that's where we are trying to utilize now on the other side, where they're not using our platform, but they're just using the reprioritization of who they should be focusing on.
So do you think based on that, if I listen to you and what you've got going, it seems to me that there's a huge opportunity to also personalize the content itself. And that's a tougher thing to do, right? Particularly in the medical, legal, and regulatory frameworks we have to work in. Are you addressing that in any way? Or you're just getting the data to the people and let them decide?
No, not really. So what we are trying to do is that's the reason the customization is making a huge difference, right? So that was our business model. When we were doing even KOL mapping or when we are doing KOL mapping, where we don't want to create syndicated database, which many companies are doing.
Right.
So in the customization is exactly that we are now putting them into buckets, and the buckets are overall like a more broader buckets of saying that, okay, this is what the conversation needs to be, right? This is where this bucket needs to about this conversation. So it's not like in terms of very broader like efficacy, safety, but it's getting into more detail, but it's aligned to your messaging. And then we are segmenting all the HCPs into that particular buckets. So in that case, it's making it very personalized, but that's more for the content sending. But for MSLs or TLS, we were using our platform. We call as next best dialogue, which have launched.
Yep.
And that's what they get. And that is completely personalized. So it gets into every single notion of what the experts have concerned with. And they focus on that. And again, tomorrow I'm going to show some of the results that we did with a couple of brands where the engagement increase was almost 78% on a one-on-one, which honestly, on an average, they were in like 2%, 3%, sometimes decreasing, which was 78% increase in terms of the overall engagement that they had. So I think it made a definite difference in terms when you make it personalized. That's where I think the prioritization, it's the farmer's responsibility to make sure that the HCPs and the experts are getting the relevant information so that they can improve the patient care.
We're living in interesting times. We've got 50, 60% do not call hospitals now. Reps cannot get in to educate the doctors. How are the med affairs people sort of addressing the education of doctors on, say, new indications or prescribing, information change or dosing information change?
And I think that is one of the biggest gaps that we are seeing. Not only that, we were doing patient journey analytics where we saw for rare diseases, many of the patients have to go to 7 or 8 interactions. And when I say 7 to 8 interactions, that means they're talking about 2 years to 2.5 years to that kind of time period to get diagnosed it correctly. So Wilson gets misdiagnosed with copper metabolism. They get treatment for 1 year. They are still not okay. They imagine the kind of time that they are able to, you can save if we're educating the right people at the right time, right? So that's where I feel the Gen AI. And I know everybody talks about Gen AI. I was with somebody who said that whoever has Gen AI on their particular board, they should just shut it down. It's like everything is Gen AI. But I think people are just either getting irritated or getting very excited. There is no central perspective of where Gen AI is very important. It makes a huge difference. The only part is that you cannot use Gen AI everywhere, which made you need to utilize it in a way where it has specific outcomes that you can prove and a particular objective that it can really solve, and it can be scalable with explanation. I think the one thing that we have been missing is there is no explanation whenever Gen AI is being forced. So med affairs or any such kind of ones who have done that they're doctors or PhDs, that very educated people who have been trained to always question the logic. If they are being forced to use a black box, it's not going to work for them.
I don't think the medical, legal, regulatory folks will approve it anyway if they can't understand what happens, right?
Absolutely.
Specifically, if this happens and this happens, what would you do? And if you can't answer that question, you're not going to get the thing approved anyway.
Exactly. That is one of the reasons that we made sure that we provide the supporting language, the areas where whatever we are saying, you provide the reason of why we are saying it with citations so that the compliance, legal, or the medical affairs are able to get that information. But we have a long way to go for it. It's something that we have to still, I feel that the patient identification is one of the biggest gaps, whether you are doing clinical trials or even in terms of rare disease. There needs to be a lot of improvements that we can focus.
There's seen a whole bunch of startups doing things like patient matching to the inclusion exclusion criteria, all of these things, right? But it seems to me that you can do all of that and reach the patient, but if the doctor doesn't know anything about it, that patient's never going to get referred into a trial, right?
Exactly. It's not good. And that is one of the biggest gaps where we found out in many places where they're not even able to go to the specialist because they're going to their family practitioners, they're going to their internal medicine. And unless they say that you have something of an issue where you have to go to a hepatologist or a gastroenterologist, they're not going to go.
Yeah.
They're just saying that, oh yeah, you're messed up, but what is the reason for it? And they're getting medication, so they're not questioning it a lot. So that's where the education needs to go into that particular experts who are the gatekeepers. And identifying the gatekeepers becomes very, very important. I think that's where we are also working in terms of combining some of the sources, which I don't want to say it out loud right now, but that is one of the next thing that we are doing in 2026 of how to find patients in real time is something that we are trying to utilize beyond claims data. Yes, I think that has been explored a lot, but going beyond that.
There's a lot, I think there's a huge opportunity there. If you think about all of those companies that have access to all sorts of perpetrated claims data, the problem with it all is it's behind.
It's the past.
Yeah. It's not today or the future. So you're making decisions on things that happened a long time ago, and that may not be the right approach. It should be a good guidance. But
Absolutely. And again, if when you go into the claims data, it's already blindsided with the fucking clouds.
Yeah.
So identifying the patients becomes again a problem. It's forecasted. So sometimes you're not finding the right patient. So physicians also, because it's kind of pumped up numbers.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of gaps, and that's why I think there is a definite need in that direction.
We announced yesterday at the conference a whole new set of features for our platform. And one of them is an agentic AI live rec, right? So it's the idea being, you have a bunch of potential healthcare professional clients that you'll never talk to because you don't have the manpower. So let an AI rep do it for you, right?
It's an brilliant idea. What my feeling is that you are now going to be able to knock the doors of the do not disturb places.
Yeah.
Because they definitely, it's not like they don't need the information. Again, they've shut it down because they're overwhelmed.
Yes.
And if you see some of the data, only 14% of the HCPs are mentioning that the pharma is providing them the right information. Only 14%. So that's the point that shares that 70% feels that they're overwhelmed and 14% says that they're not getting they're only 14% saying that they are getting the right information. So you have almost a large amount of population who are saying that, yeah, I'm not aligning with what you're saying. And that's the biggest concern that we are seeing. I think this is going to solve because now you have an agentic for no judgment, no emotion, side thoughts.
Yeah.
I want this. Give it to me.
Yes.
And at any point of time. So if I'm available at 9 o'clock in the night,
the agentic AI doesn't sleep, right? You can have it anytime. I think the big one that I'm excited about, based on all of the things you said, is the ability to then trigger the message at that relevant contextual time. So it appears in the HR and you go, oh, wait, I need dosing information. Just ask the agent right there. can I, what should be the dosage? Or can I prescribe it to a child, right? Things like that.
And
In your workflow.
along with, if they're not aware of certain class therapies, then now pharma can really promote it.
Yeah.
In that perspective, and I don't want to use the word promote, if marketing,
Right.
but medical affairs can educate the physician about the new therapies that are coming or a clinical trial.
Yes,
It is happening.
exactly.
So they can now, oh, you got diagnosed with this particular, you just had 5 patients who were diagnosed with this. There is a clinical trial that is going on just 5 steps away from you.
Yeah.
Why don't you promote them to join that?
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation because, well, patients are looking to get new treatments.
Of course. And the doctors want to provide it to them, right? The doctors would like to give the best standard of care to their patients. So it's interesting times we're living in. I can imagine a world where we could use your data set to really hone in and then engage doctors with content along that journey, right? On our platform. Okay. So
Absolutely. I think it would be the right way of converting the generic communication to personalized, but
yes.
you guys implementing it so that it really gets scaled to the next level.
So we've got about a minute left.
Yes.
In the next minutes, if you had a prediction or ask for the world we're in at the moment, I mean, look at all the people around us, right? What could be an interesting thing that you said, you know what, if we had this in the next 18 months, it would really revolutionize the way we engage with doctors?
So I'm going to look everything from the patient perspective, not pharma perspective in this particular case.
Yeah.
I really feel that the GenAI helping to reduce overall patient care of rare diseases from 2 years to 2 to 3 years to 1 year. And I'm seeing that happening now because of virtual reps, personalized content, personalized communication, where education is not going to be dependent on CME.
Attending a conference, any of those things, right?
You are going to be able to communicate right messages to right people so that your patient care improves significantly, and your clinical trials, which used to take 12, 15 years, might get done in 5 years because one of the biggest time saving is getting patients.
Yep.
So that I am hopeful. I feel that is something that we all can work together because that at the end of the day, we are all working for patient care.
Exactly. So, Badal, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I think it's exciting times, right?
Very exciting.
Very exciting times. I look forward to hearing more about all the things you're getting up to. Sounds very, very cool.
Always a pleasure, Ritesh.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.